This necklace of human fingers belonged to the foremost of the medicine men of a brave tribe, the Cheyenne of Montana and Wyoming. They were the backbone of the hostility to the whites, and during the long and arduous campaign conducted against them by the late Major General George Crook, which terminated so successfully in the surrender of 4,500 of the Allied Sioux and Cheyenne at Red Cloud and Spotted Tail agencies in the early spring of 1877. It was a noted fact that wherever a band of the Cheyenne was to be found, there, the fighting was most desperate. It is a matter now well established that the Cheyenne are an offshoot of the Algonquian family, speaking a dialect closely resembling that of the Cree of British America. It may interest some in the manner in which such a ghastly relic of savagery came into my possession. On the morning of the 25th of November, 1876, the Cavalry and Indian Scouts, Sioux, Shoshone, Arapaho, Pawnee, and a few of the Cheyenne themselves, of General Crook's command, under the leadership of the late Brigadier General Ranald S. Mackenzie, then Colonel of the 4th Cavalry, surprised and destroyed the main village of the Cheyenne, on the headwaters of the Powder River, in the Bighorn Mountains, Wyoming. The onslaught was irresistible, the destruction complete, and the discomfited savages were forced to flee from their beds, half naked and with nothing save their arms and ammunition. More than half of the great herd of ponies belonging to the savages were killed, captured, or so badly wounded as to be of no use to the owners. The cold became so intense that on the night after the fight, 11 papooses froze to death in their mother's arms, and the succeeding night, 3 others. This blow, the most grievous ever inflicted upon the Plains tribes, resulted in the surrender, first of the Cheyenne, and later on of the principal chief of the Sioux, the renowned Crazy Horse, after which the Sioux troubles were minimized into the hunt for scattered bands. Undoubtedly, among the bitterest losses of valuable property suffered by the Cheyenne on this occasion were the 2 necklaces of human fingers which came into my possession, together with the small buckskin bag filled with the right hands of papooses, belonging to the tribe of their deadly enemies, the Shoshone. These were found in the village by one of our scouts, Baptiste Poirier, who with Mr. Frank Gruard was holding an important and responsible position in connection with the care of the great body of Indian scouts. From these 2 gentlemen, I afterwards obtained all the information that is here to be found regarding the Cheyenne necklace. The second necklace, consisting of 4 fingers, was buried, as General Crook did not wish to have kept more than 1 specimen, and that only for scientific purposes. Accordingly, the necklace here depicted was sent first to the U.S. Military Academy at West Point, New York, and later to the National Museum in Washington, where it was believed it could better fulfill its mission of educating students in a knowledge of the manners and customs of our Aborigines. The buckskin bag, with the papooses' hands, was claimed by the Shoshone scouts, who danced and wailed all night, and then burned the fearful evidence of the loss sustained by their people. The necklace is made of a round collar of buckskin, encrusted with the small blue and white beads purchased from the traders, these being arranged in alternate spaces of an inch or more in length. There are also attached numbers of the perforated wampum shell beads of native manufacture. Pendants from this collar are 5 medicine arrows, the exact nature of which it was, of course, impossible to determine from the owner himself. Both Frank and Baptiste agreed that an arrow might become medicine, either from having been shot into the person of the owner himself, or into the body of an enemy, or even from having been picked up under peculiar circumstances. The owner, High Wolf or Tall Wolf, admitted as much after he had surrendered at the Red Cloud Agency, and had made every effort to obtain the return of his medicine, which was this necklace. The 4 medicine bags to be seen in the picture are worthy of attention. They were carefully examined under a powerful glass by Dr. H.C. Yarrow, U.S. Army, in the city of Washington and pronounced to be human scrota. The first of these contained a vegetable powder, somewhat decomposed, having a resemblance to hodantine. The second was filled with killikinnick. The third with small garnet-colored seeds like the chia in use among the Apache, and the fourth with a yellow, clay-white vegetable matter not identified. Besides the above, there are artificial teeth, resembling those of the fossil animals abundant in the Badlands of South Dakota, but cut out of soft stone. The fingers, 8 altogether, are the left-hand middle fingers of Indians of hostile tribes, killed by High Wolf. The fingers have not been left in the natural state, but have been subjected to very careful and elaborate antiseptic treatment in order thoroughly to desiccate them. They were split longitudinally on the inner side, and after the bone had been extracted, the surface of the skin, both inside and out, received a treatment with a wash or paint of ochreous earth, the same as is used for the face. I was told that the bones were not replaced, but that sticks were inserted to maintain the fingers in proper shape. Of the reason for making use of such a trophy or relic, there is not much to be said. Even the savages know little and say less. From the best information that I have been able to gather, it would seem to be based partly upon a vainglorious desire to display the proofs of personal prowess, and partly upon the vague and ill-defined, but deeply rooted belief in the talismanic or medicinal potency possessed by all parts of the human body, especially after death. It was such a belief which impelled the Mandan, Aztecs, and others of the American tribes to preserve the skulls of their dead, as well as, among the Aztecs, those of the victims sacrificed in honor of their gods. As has been shown in another place, the Zuni and others take care to offer food, at stated periods, to the scalps of their enemies. The use of necklaces of human fingers or of human teeth is to be found in many parts of the world, and besides the fingers themselves, we find the whole arm, or in other cases only the nails. The Cheyenne did not always restrict themselves to fingers. They generally made use of the whole hand, or the arm of the slaughtered enemy. There is no doubt in my mind that this custom of the Cheyenne of cutting off the arm or hand gave rise to their name in the sign language of the slashers, or wrist cutters, much as the corresponding tribal peculiarity of the Dakota occasioned their name of the throat cutters. The necklace of human fingers is found among other tribes. A necklace of 4 human fingers was seen by the members of the Lewis and Clark expedition among the Shoshone at the headwaters of the Columbia in the early years of the present century. Early in the spring of 1858, Henry Yule Hind refers to the allies of the Ojibwa on Red River as having 2 fingers severed from the hands of the unfortunate Sioux. The Californians did not generally scalp, but they did cut off and keep the arms and legs of a slain enemy, or rather, the hands and feet and head. They also had the habit of plucking out and preserving the eyes. The Ojibwa will frequently cut fingers, arms, and limbs from their enemies, and preserve these ghastly relics for use in their dances. Sometimes the warriors will become so excited that they will break off and swallow a finger. Sometimes they use sacks of human skin to contain their medicines, and they fancy that something is thus added to their efficacy. The Mohawk place their foe against a tree or stake and first tear all the nails from his fingers and run them on a string, which they wear the same as we do gold chains. Fanny Kelly, the Indian captive, says of a Sioux chief, "He showed me a puzzle or game he had made from the finger bones of some of the victims that had fallen beneath his own tomahawk. The bones had been freed from the flesh by boiling, and being placed upon a string, were used for playing some kind of Indian game." John G. Burke, Captain, 3rd Cavalry, U.S. Army.